What is your name and what grade are you in?
My name is Rich, and I'm a sophomore at Dearborn High School.
How was your Grit conference experience as a sophomore?
As a sophomore, I found the Grit conference experience quite enlightening. I essentially saw a lot of experienced professionals in the IT field, and they truly gave me different perspectives about the field itself. For example, I went to a specific session about artificial intelligence, and I found that artificial intelligence is heavily applicable, and it actually won't decrease the amount of jobs, but will actually increase it in the future.
What's the most important activity that you think you did in the conference?
Personally, I think the most important activity that I did in a conference was the vendor hall, because throughout the vendor hall, I could actually ask my specific questions to each of the professionals in the field, and as well as develop personal connections. Now, as a sophomore, I wasn't trying to seek any internships, but in the future, if any junior does this, they can actually get a lot of connections and build up their network to get more internships in the future.
What was the most impactful activity at the Grit conference?
Personally, the most impactful activity at the Grit conference was the vendor hall. Through the vendor hall, I could meet a lot of experienced professionals, and by meeting them, I could actually develop my connections. But not just connections, I could learn the different perspectives of each of these individuals, and ultimately enhance my understanding of the information technology field. Plus, it's one of the only places during the conference where I could actually ask personalized questions on a personal level to the individual.
What are some of the vendors that you visited?
I visited a lot of vendors throughout the vendor hall, but some of the main ones that stood out to me were Estes, which is a transportation company, as well as Experian. And both these companies truly helped me understand how information technology doesn't just deal with software, but actually deal with specific real-world applications, Estes specifically being a transportation company. I also visited Rotest Security, and Rotest Security essentially tries to break through systems in order to improve their security, and improve the company's security that they try to break through. And this provided me with an understanding that computer science can also be used towards security purposes and not just software development.
What was your favorite one out of all of them?
Personally, I think that all of them are great, but my favorite one would have to be the Rotest Security one, simply because they also had an interactive lab type experience where we could actually unpick and break locks and stuff. But aside from that, I think the most influential one that I learned out of was Experian.
What session did you attend?
I attended 3 main sessions. Firstly, I attended the AI session. I also attended the cybersecurity panel, and I also attended the entrepreneurship session. And then finally, I attended the vendor hall. Now, did you ask the favorite? Okay, I didn't. Okay.
All right. Which session did you restart?
Yeah, restart the question.
What sessions did you attend?
I attended 4 main sessions, one of them being the vendor hall, but aside from that, I attended the entrepreneurship session, the AI session, as well as the cybersecurity panel.
What session did you enjoy the most, and what was your biggest takeaway out of that session?
Personally, I enjoyed the AI session the most. The AI session was quite contrary to what we normally see about AI. We see stuff about ChatGPT and other things taking over the market. But the speaker for the AI session essentially talked about how artificial intelligence is actually going to increase the number of jobs with a concept called Jevons paradox. And this truly brought a new perspective towards the whole field of artificial intelligence. And I think that's great.
Do you have any new interests after the Grit conference?
Personally, aside from continuing to learn computer science, cybersecurity, as well as artificial intelligence, as well as physics and mathematics that I'm passionate about, I don't have any new interests, but I really think that the Grit conference facilitated those interests and really increased my passion for computer science.
What is one takeaway from the keynote speaker, Riza Martin?
I think that one main takeaway from the keynote speaker, Riza Martin, that I would cherish is that artificial intelligence, we shouldn't hate it completely, but at the same time, we shouldn't over-rely on it. Because artificial intelligence has the capability of giving us a lot of knowledge in a short span of time. And to be fair, we could use this to accelerate our tasks, which is beneficial in the future. But at the same time, we could just use it and over-rely on it, which deprives us of our true knowledge. So I think that the main takeaway from her the speech was that we should embrace AI, but not over-rely on it and keep fostering our creativity.
What was your overall impression of the conference?
I think that the Grit conference was one of the best conferences I attended. I've attended a lot of Model UN conferences, and I found that the Grit conference was greatly organized, but at the same time, it was actually a great learning experience. Each of the speakers provided new perspectives, and these new perspectives truly helped me develop my passion for computer science and helped me understand the field to a great extent. And it was just a great environment where we could actually communicate to the speakers, talk with our friends, and yeah, I think it was great.
Were there any sessions that you wish you would have attended but you missed?
Yeah, one of the main sessions I think I should have attended was the alumni panel, and the alumni panel definitely gave a lot of their experiences, which I heard from their other friends, and this would have truly helped me understand the real world impacts as well as the real world culture about computer science. But I still think that the three I attended were greatly valuable to me.
What was the most surprising thing you learned at a Grid conference?
So the most surprising thing that I learned in the Grid conference was Jevon's paradox, and this was put forth by the AI speaker. And so basically, Jevon's paradox is that when you think that the demand for, or when you think that something is going to decrease, for example, the number of workers and stuff, it actually increases, and it's because artificial intelligence, while we may think that it's going to completely lay off a bunch of workers, it's actually going to decrease the team size. But because companies can be more optimal and have more teams with the same amount of workers, they're going to have more teams. So the net amount of workers is not going to change. We're just going to have more teams that can do more tasks. And that was something interesting that I learned because it's contrary to the perspectives put forth by people on YouTube and just other individuals.
What topic from the conference do you want to learn more about?
Personally, I want to learn more about the relationship between cybersecurity, AI, and quantum computing. Now, quantum computing was lightly touched upon by the AI speaker as well as cybersecurity panel, but since those weren't the main focus, we couldn't really dive deep into quantum computing. So I really think that if we could have another session maybe in the future, or if I could just personally investigate about the relationship between these three fields, I think that would be valuable to me.
Thank you for your time, Rich.
Thank you, Surya.